Hello, and welcome to Little Trotter Talks, where we help parents and children understand each other better and find out more about the challenges and the fun they can have together. Today on the talk, we have Riddhi Doshi Patel. Riddhi is a child psychologist, a parent counselor. She is 3 times TEDx speaker and an author. And if that's not a mouthful, she's also an entrepreneur. She started Lajja that empowers women to do much more with their capability. And recently, she's collaborated with Kidzania to launch Emotion, which Riddhi is the best suited to talk about. So over to you, Riddhi, and welcome to the talk.
Thank you so much, Shweta. So, emotion is all about creating spaces to help children, adults, to work on their emotions. It is kind of a place which is do it yourself. You don't need anybody's support to increase your vocabulary on emotions. You don't need anybody to guide you. You can do it yourself. So the processes that has been placed in that establishment of Kidzana is all about that a child or a parent can just visit all the processes put up, do as the guidance has been displayed, and can just walk out after doing all these processes, which takes around 20 to 25 minutes for each person visiting the establishment. And
Okay.
we look forward to creating such establishments in schools, colleges, corporates as well, because each one of us needs to have a vocabulary of emotions and each one of us needs to know how to balance emotions. So,
Yeah, great. I'm glad that people are talking about emotions and emotion regulation in children because that's one topic that regularly gets left out. We were brought in a very different setup, but today we are more aware of it. And with the good work with people like you coming forward and doing it for children, I'm really thrilled. So tell me, Riddhi, you work so closely with children and parents, right, on a day to day basis. You hear so much from them. This is more around today's parenting and the challenges associated with it. I've noticed that Indian parents have this tendency of looking at the development of a child from a very academic angle. Do you still see that happening, or do you think that that landscape is changing and people are considering
no,
overall?
the percentage I would say is just 5 to 10%. Still, for a
It's really small.
child to believe or to be defined that the child is successful, for the parents, it is just the academics. For the parents, it's nothing which is called co curricular activities, mental health, emotional health. For parents, is you've done this, you're successful. If you get first rank, you're successful. Okay,
Mhm.
so definition of success is just limited to success in academics,
Great.
and that is quite a pressure for a child.
I was going to come to this. So, do you hear children say to you that they are overburdened, overpressured, and are they being run around from one tuition to another tuition to make sure that those grades are being ticked off?
Absolutely. So even if the grades are not been ticked off, it's all about keeping the child busy so that parenting is taken care of. So it's just like I'm a parent,
Mhm.
but since I am not available for my child, I'm replacing things just to keep my child engaged. So
Okay.
I'm replacing my parenting with different classes, different activities. So my child is busy and my child doesn't think about anything else. My child doesn't go on screen and my child is absolutely busy with the things that will help him grow. Now, I'm
Right.
not sure whether that's going to help the child to grow or not, because when the child has back to back schedule, like I have a third standard and fourth standard children coming saying, Auntie, no time. And probably while I was in third and fourth, I was the most Vela person on earth because I used to play. I used to go down and play with my friends. The time I reach home, I put my bag and I'm down. So I don't remember taking any. But I see these children are so busy. So even if I'm scheduling an appointment, the parent would say or the child would say, Auntie, no time. Auntie, please Saturday. Auntie, do you work on Sunday? So this is what children almost 6 and 7 or 8 years old are talking the language of being busy. Now, being busy doesn't qualify success. Being busy doesn't qualify that your child is going to achieve everything in the in the academics or for the academics or in the school. That's not success. If the child is going to be busy for hours and hours, the child is not going to learn. The child is going to be pressured. The child is going to be mentally tired because the brain gets tired. It is said that the normal grasping capacity of a brain is just 35 to 40 minutes and then it needs a break. because then it's too much for a child to manage. If you're allowing a child to be busy back to back in classes or in sports or anything and everything that I would say you want your child to excel in,
Mm-hmm.
the child is not healthy, not mentally healthy. The child is not going to be emotionally healthy. And
Yeah.
I have my doubts when it comes to even physical health. And
Yeah.
where are we focusing on spiritual health? Where are we talking about social health? All segments of health are compromised because the word success is just associated with academics, which is
Absolutely.
concerning.
Which is quite concerning and overburdening for them. So, Little Trotter is out there to be an ally to parents, also because while on one hand, this describes the child's situation and what they are going through, on the other hand, there isn't less pressure on parents, right? They are leading a far busier life in the cities, in the tier one or tier two cities. Just traveling to work and going through all that you go through in your day is not simple for any parent. Both parents, right? The father and the mother. So, what are you hearing from parents on that? Why is that overburdening and overpressure coming from them?
So these days, Shweta, everywhere you go on any sort of social media, it has been constantly told that this is not the space for your child. And absolutely right. Social media and screens is not the space for children. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the children are at home and if the parents are busy or if they are working parents, they are not sure what their children are going to do. So what they believe in is that if I want my child to be away from screens, if I want my child to play less games on the mobile phone, then it's okay to keep my child busy. Okay. And being busy is one tuition that is for 3 to 4 hours. That's the coaching tuitions. And the second is maybe one sport or maybe one co-curricular activity, which is maybe related to craft, art, or dance. So that's how the child's time is absolutely blocked so that the child doesn't think of using screens at all. Parents are not wrong, but yes, I personally believe that a little involvement of the parents is needed, because none of the coaching classes, none of the art classes or dance classes are going to replace you, your love, care, and affection, your acknowledgement, your acceptance for your child, you appreciating your child, right? So if nothing is going to replace you as a parent, it is important for you to know you are not somebody where you can create a substitute for yourself. You need to be you. You need to be present in your child's life, right? So to every parent who are working parents, in either case, I would suggest that have at least half an hour a day with your child, where there is no cooking happening, there is no office call happening, where there is no TV on, no mobile phone, but you're talking to your child about how the day has been. What did the child do at school? How your day has been. Start with you to connect better with your child. Don't start with the child, because that's a judgment. That is cornering a child. And children are not comfortable when they're cornered. So the open space and the more non-judgmental space that you create for the child is and will feel very comfortable to share with the parents. 10 minutes of time you can spend with your child when you are talking to your child about your day, how resiliently you manage it, how did the child do throughout the day, what did the child do throughout the day in the school, what emotions that the child felt throughout the day, what was something that was bothering, what was something that was a happy moment for the child, what was that something for which he got a lot of appreciation. All right. So when these conversations will start happening, it will matter. All right. And your child will start looking forward to that time with you, because here the child will have undivided attention of yours and you are there. So children prefer quality time in comparison to quantity. So if you're somebody who is constantly nagging or tagging the child, then your child will not take conscious efforts to even work on himself or herself. Neither would be open to talking with you, sharing with you. So it's extremely important that you have quality time, and in that quality time, talk about your life, involve your children in your life, set up something wherein your children look forward to it. And everyday small talks is okay, in the sense small quality time that you give to your children, but every Saturday or Sunday, that's the weekend, start having family time with your children. So family time is all about that one dedicated day designated time, only the date changes, and at that time the whole family sits together, talks about how the week has been for each one of them, talks about what they appreciate in each other, right? And talks
Absolutely.
about what they don't appreciate in each other. Those conversations are very healthy, and we need such healthy conversations where you're not tagged, where you're not judged, but you can talk about it, that this is something which I don't appreciate. This is something that hurts me as a human being. More than your being a parent, I'm a human being first, and this hurts me. So such conversations, if you have, you will also get to know what your child is thinking about you. You will get to know that what are your patterns and what are your child's patterns when it comes to emotions, feelings, and understanding about each other. How well you connect with each other, how well you gel with each other, how well you know each other. Any mistakes your child is doing, you'll be able to support your child during the family time. So no cross questions, but these conversations have to happen.
You're talking about quality time over quantity and prioritizing that and making it a habit. And when you do it a few times, then it becomes very natural for the family to expect, that you are going to spend this time together.
Absolutely.
And come together and talk.
So I have a lot of clients, they look forward to having family time with their parents. So they remind, kal hamara family time hai. So they look forward to spending time like that and have those conversations, because that is the time when children can appreciate, when children can also say that this is something Papa I didn't like, or something that Mama I don't appreciate. Because this is the language. If that starts happening at home, your children will never go out to seek validation. Your children will never want to get or being accepted from the society or the schoolmates. Your child is full within, satisfied, loved, and acknowledged at home. So that is extremely important.
Yeah, it resonates with me quite a lot also, because when I became parent for the first time, never thought it was such a big deal that I had to go and understand these aspects. It was a very natural transition from not being a parent to suddenly being a parent. And while it felt very natural, it was like, everybody does it. My mom did it. So what's the big deal? You have to just get on with it. No one stops to realize that now you have moved into a very different world, which requires a different you, a conscious you, to look at things differently. So objectively, when you don't look at it, you don't see how gradually parents and children drift apart. And before you know, you've gone two separate ways to a great degree. So it's then a lot of effort to then bring you back together. So really tell me about culture awareness. And that is a topic very close to my heart, as I feel that, becoming emotionally cognizant, becoming socially aware, and being able to make those networks and connections, which is what takes you ahead in life. And I won't say that is the only thing, but it's a huge part of your professional career going forward. Tell me, how do you see it? Does it come up in your conversations with children?
So it is extremely important to be culturally conscious. Now, I tell the parents to start this right from the time you are feeding your child. It starts from there. You start from your own country. You start from the region that you stay. So if I am feeding my child a roti, right, while you're feeding the child, or while the child is eating on his or her own, you talk about what is it, from what you make a roti, where does the wheat grow, how does the wheat grow, which are the regions where wheat grows better. This is how you are geographically explaining your child about different cultures in your own country. Side by side, when your child is 4 or 5, start talking about different cultures across the world. Because these days children are grasping all the content that they get to see on the social media, or they hear their parents talking. Now, if something has been spoken in regard to a particular religion or country or state, your children create an impression, and those impressions doesn't allow them to grow ahead in life. Because culturally, if you see, you need to be adaptive to whatever region you are in, whatever culture you are staying in, whichever country. You need to be very adaptive. Hence, it is extremely important for the parent to be consciously taking efforts to involve the child in something which is called being culturally intelligent. And being culturally intelligent is just not about the country that you stay in and making the children aware of the different cultures of that particular country. There's also about the culture of different countries, the people, the social connects, the likes, the dislikes, the dressing, the
Yeah.
food, everything, the monuments. If you are a little enthusiastic about understanding, then you yourself first understand and educate your children. How does this help? A, if your children is culturally well versed or having a vocabulary of different cultures, I'm using culturally intelligent in this
Yeah.
segment only, where the
Yeah.
child has a understanding about different cultures, different people, the culture and the people, uh, their eating style, their clothing style, everything about it. It's going to be very easy for the child to adjust in any particular situations they come across in life. So nothing is new for the child. You are making the child aware that this religion or this culture, after all, the person is a human being. So you are not digressing it further, but you are connecting with every human being at a very human level and not digressing further to society, to religion, to other things. So your child will be very adaptive. It is said that if you stay in Canada, behave like a Canadian. Then the child, if the child is planning to settle further on for his studies or planning to be there forever, he will not be uncomfortable staying there. He will not be homesick often, because the child knows that is the space which I'm aware of beforehand. All right. And they are as human as what I see it in my own country. So the adaptiveness and the openness to accept other people and culture will be very easy for the child.
You touched upon a very interesting point there, Riddhi. When you said that the child is silently drawing their own perceptions
Absolutely.
from whatever they hear in the surroundings, their parents talking about. Even now, politically as well, there are lots of things that parents tend to discuss with other parents. And the child might be silently observing them to draw their own, conclusions about that. And so the sooner you introduce your child to cultural differences and similarities, the more adaptable and flexible they become in life.
Because they feel secure in every space on earth, then it is not different for them. It is not a foreign land for them. It is just like they know it and they're planning to settle there. It goes very easy for you and your child both.
And let's not forget, right? Today, India is a developing nation. Tomorrow, when our children grow up, we would be a developed nation, and they will have all sorts of people flying to India and working within India at that point. So it's no more you settling in Canada or you settling in elsewhere.
And that's where you'll be open to accepting those people in your country, in your offices, in your space as well. Right? So it is important that sort of adaptability you have given to your children by explaining them right from the beginning, talking about regions, people, clothing, the specialities, the monuments, the culture, right? The sanskar, the ethics, the values, everything.
And we have made it simple by putting everything together in the box. So that parents don't have to search, plan. They open the box and they get on with those 20-25 minutes that you're talking about there. Indulge in something that is an icebreaker to start talking about, how your day went and what somebody ate at the table and how you were normal with those kind of things. So, Riddhi, you've also spoken heavily about how adult appropriate content being exposed to children earlier on, how that is harmful for children. And so, while entertainment should be in the lives of everybody, whether you're a grown up or you're a little child, what do you have to say about exposing children to content and the kind of content that they should be indulging in for their entertainment?
So age appropriate content is extremely important. If a child of 3 or 4 years is going to go on Instagram and see that one human being is hitting the other human being, he will start to understand that it is okay to hit people, right? And that will be replicated at home as well. So he or she would be somebody who will hit the mom or the dad. Right? So this is what the child is exposed to. thanks to social media. Have you put controls on what your child should be watching on social media, what your child should be watching on the screen? Have been any filters, any controls been kept by you? Are you aware that there are so many apps now which helps you to understand what your child is watching on social media, what is your child watching on YouTube? Those controls or those history check has to be there by a parent. If you're not aware, there are a lot of information available. There are a lot of sessions being held by experts. Please take professional help, understand for yourself, educate yourself, and ensure that age appropriate content is watched by children. I would say a strict no even to cartoons these days, right? I have grown up watching Tom and Jerry, right?
I'm glad you bring that up.
Yeah, I have grown up watching Superman and Spider-Man, and I have never thought about just jumping from the seventh floor or third floor or even from my bunk bed because it never came to me. I never felt that I should be doing that. There was a child whose father got a Superman cut dress with a cape, and barely 4-year-old, and he felt that if I'm wearing a cape, I can fly. So the child chose to fly from the first level of the bunk bed and had multiple fractures. That is something children want to explore. My generation probably never thought of exploring at this level. My way of exploring would be to go down and play or finding some other things to do so that I can have a free time. But these days, children are exposed so much to the screens that they know and they start believing that if I do this, this can happen and I can be magical. I can be best among the group members I have or the friends I have. I can flaunt over the things that I have been doing. That's how children are flaunting at age of 4 and 5. They talk about brands, cars, the dress they're wearing, the amount of money their parents invest in them for spa parties or giving them branded clothing. I am not against parents gifting or giving branded things. No, please. I'm absolutely okay. All right. But there has to be a balance, right? I remember long back, a child was got to me and the child told the parent that we are very poor. So once the child reached home from school, he was constantly crying. And I'm not going to go to school tomorrow. Mama, we're very poor and everybody says I'm very poor. So the mother was shocked. That what makes you feel that we are poor? No, we cannot afford, Mama. We cannot afford. So he was constantly saying this and crying. So the parent got the child to me on urgent basis. So while I started talking to the child, I asked the parent to be, just waiting or not to speak while I'm talking to the child. So while I was talking to the child, I said, did somebody say in the class that you're poor? Yes, auntie. My friend said that you're poor. I said, okay, what made him say so? Do you remember anything? So actually, his friend had got strawberries to school in the tiffin. And then he said that strawberries are very expensive. Only people who are rich can afford. Now, where does this conversation come from? Because the child might have heard at home the parent talking that it is expensive and thankfully we can afford, so I'm bringing strawberries home and I'm giving you in the tiffin box. The parent meant something, the child took something, the child escalated his soch, his perspective to the other child, and the other child felt that I'm poor.
Right.
Do you understand? Yeah. So our communication, our conversation also matters. And as much as our communication and conversation matters, children, what they see on social media, what they see on YouTube also matters. If we speak maybe for 10-15 minutes or we are there with the children for half an hour, if they start creating such beliefs, imagine if your child is using screen for 2 hours, 3 hours, how many beliefs your child has already created about self and people around them.
Which is not validated.
Which is not validated, about the parents, about their financial status, about everything, about looks, about the house they stay in. I have known children who would come and tell me that, auntie, I can't afford this car. My parents can't afford this car. So they know that this is the amount of the car and this is very expensive. Why are we talking such things to the children? And why are we exposing them to such content on social media? Let the child be a child. Why are they exposed to things wherein you're talking about social problems, you're talking about your mother-in-law, you're talking about a bad day with your husband or a wife, you're talking about your office problems. Did you ever talk about yourself, what the child experienced, what the child felt throughout the day? No. But you're just throwing the garbage which you have been holding on throughout the day, you're just throwing on your child. How is your child going to benefit?
This has come a full circle. You're not getting the time to validate with your child. And maybe you've said something in some other context which has been understood differently by your child. But if
Absolutely.
you're not spending quality time with them, then where is your thought process being explained to them?
Absolutely.
Clearly?
Your thought processes, your values, your ethics, your culture, your perspective about being spiritual.
Mhm.
Where is your touch as a parent in your child's scene? If the child is absolutely being parented by the screen, then you can't complain that my child is not talking my language. You can't complain that the child is not understanding, not empathetic, that my child has a lot of behavioral issues. You cannot complain because you have a substitute for yourself and you give that substitute to your child.
So we'll stop at that. As a parent, you need to be there. Yeah, you've got the children into the world. Make sure that you also enjoy with them. And like we here at Little Trotter say, let children enjoy their childhood. It's not going to come back ever. Right? It's very important that they look back and take pride in their childhood and not feel, oh my God, I was unnecessarily overburdened and overpressured, where I was supposed to enjoy that phase of my life. Thank you, Riddhi, for joining us. And we hope to bring you back in the future.